First, we'll start with boredom. Boredom in the classroom. How does this boredom begin, and what can we do in order to combat this boredom? So boredom begins when gifted students feel under-challenged, frustrated, overwhelmed, or uninterested. How can we keep this from happening? Get creative. The students have options. Give the students a choice in how they complete their work. Give the students an opportunity to teach the class and allow students to work through the curriculum at their own pace. And here I have pictures and videos, but the video is very long and probably would take up way too much time in even trying to show you just a little bit of it. So our next section is conferencing. Conferencing with your students allows you to get to know your students on a personal level, their interests, strengths, fears, and challenges, as well as their weaknesses. So you might ask, when is the best time to conference with your students? I would say anytime at the beginning of the school year before you begin any of the curriculum. This allows you to see where the student currently lies as far as their knowledge goes. You can conference with them once to twice a week throughout the unit being taught. But conference with them as frequently as you feel you need to in order to combat boredom, distraction, interruptions, etc. And not only does this give you an idea of where your student lies, but it gives the student an opportunity to see their growth in your classroom. Our next subtopic is, why is it important to conference with gifted students? Conferencing with your gifted student allows for you and the student to build a confidence in each other, where the student feels comfortable coming to you when they are struggling with some type of concept you're teaching. You also get to learn their strengths and weaknesses, which can help you get ahead of any of the issues that occur due to boredom. And you can learn what they're afraid of as far as failing and being bullied, and this can help them to feel more confident that none of this is actually going to happen. The results will be that students feel more attuned to succeeding in their regular classroom if they're not afraid to speak up about something that they are struggling with or find to be too easy. They have that open communication path with the teacher that allows them to combat that boredom and not allow themselves to get bored. And it also is easier for the teacher to come up with ideas to help combat that boredom when it strikes. Our next topic is appropriate placement for students who are gifted. This is a very important topic because oftentimes gifted children that are held back only hinders their academic performance. When a child performs at their grade level academically above the grade level that they're in, it's difficult on both the child and the teacher if they're not receiving the proper educational opportunities that they deserve. Benefits for appropriate placing would be that the child is working alongside other like-minded children. They're working in ability groups, where you can see here they're grouped according to their ability. So their similarities, how they learn, etc., that is how they're grouped. And the results include that students are able to work at their own pace along with other children who are working at that same pace. They're not slowed down or sped up, and they're not having to wait for an entire class to catch up to them, and they're not having to slow down as well. And consequences that are faced If the child is not placed at the correct level that they're performing, they often get bored and distracted. They lose interest in what they're learning. And as children progress into the higher level education, they become even more bored with the material because they've either already learned it, or they're just uninterested at that point because they have not had the proper educational opportunities that they have sought out, and so they stop attending classes. Our third topic that we will discuss is debunking common myths, such as gifted students are better off if they spend their entire school day amidst same-age heterogeneous classmates, which is a myth because they should be in homogeneous classrooms. Being gifted is something with which you are just born. We will debunk this myth in myth number 2. And gifted students should be with other students their own age. We will debunk this myth in myth number 3. So myth number 1, gifted students are going to excel more accurately if they are actually in homogeneous classrooms working with children of the same like-mindedness, because they are in that same ability group. The students around them are in the same type of speed and atmosphere as far as learning goes, that they're able to help each other. And this misconception is often misconstrued because students are expected to have this socialization category placed on them with children their own age. So if children feel like they're succeeding among a group of peers who perform at the same academic level as them, they're more apt to socialize more positively with these peers. Inferiority complex is a big issue that creates a social divide. So I believe that students who feel like they match up with the students their age or the students in their class, they're more apt to be social. Whereas if they feel judged or different or an outcast, they're not going to talk regardless of their age and the age groups that they are in. Myth number 2, students are not born gifted. Exposure is a big issue, and if you expose your child to a lot of these subjects, such as like reading, numbers, languages, you're exposing them to a bunch of intellectual information that they are going to grow up to process because they have had more exposure. Their diversity and depth of vocabulary and number index and language perceptions is enhanced because they have been exposed to this throughout their childhood from birth. Our third myth is that gifted students should be with students their own age. This common misconception is fueled by the belief that a child must associate with the children their own age in order to be socially competent as they age. Regardless of age, if a student becomes bored in the classroom, they're more than likely going to try to find something to occupy their time. This is often going to become a distraction, an interruption. It's going to be something that causes them to lose even more focus than they had already had before. In order to create the best learning environment for your gifted child, it's important to understand the socialization aspect of your child's education comes with time and confidence in the relationship that they build with the students around them. It's not necessarily associated with the age that they are or that they're surrounded by. It's a matter of their comfortability and confidence that they build in the relationships. And their ability to perform at the level that other students do is a huge confidence booster. If a child feels like they have something in common with students around them, they're more than likely to build a relationship with students who have the same intelligence level and confidence level due to these common interests in knowledge and confidence. And here are my references. Thank you for listening to my presentation.